So there's a whole lot of things that you can enable Sentai to do. For example, if a user needs some shopping done and that is identified in the conversation, might happen, for example, that a user says, Sentai reminds the user to have a meal, and the user says, oh, I've run out of X, I've got nothing in the fridge, and we'll go identify that as a problem, knows that a family member or friend is assigned maybe to manage shopping for that user, will automatically create an item on the shopping list. And then send that specific family or friend a notification and says, Peter has run out of X, just to let you know.
Gotcha.
Right?
Yep.
So the family and friend then can easily get in touch or just drop a quick message on the app as well, just like any sort of chat message like WhatsApp or something, and say, oh, I've just got a message that you run out of X. I'll bring you some this afternoon when I'm coming.
Hi, Peter. Welcome to the Carecast.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Great to have you here, Peter. What we love to do on the Carecast is speak to people that provide really useful products and services in and around the care world. Can you tell us about Sentai, please?
Yeah, sure. Sentai is a digital service that's been designed to provide a caring presence in the home of users, typically living home alone and in need of some various levels of support or care. So that might be informal care organized by family and friends, or more formalized arrangements. Sentai keeps the user connected to their family and carers and gives them at the same time some entertaining and chatty company and assistance every day.
That sounds great, but I think you sometimes refer to Sentai as a digital companion. For our listeners who are just hearing about this for the first time, can you just walk us through how the smart speaker in the home and the app works, both in the house of the person needing support and their family members, and how it connects the two people? Give us a real life work through if you can.
Yeah, great. As you already mentioned, the users access Sentai through a smart speaker, and they can do that by using totally natural conversation. So there's little to no learning curve. You can just talk to Sentai like you talk to a person, which is different from traditional smart speakers who are more command-based, and sometimes you say the wrong thing. And so we don't have that learning curve. And it's different as such from traditional smart speakers, not naming any names here, by that Sentai also deals with ambiguity because it's powered by AI. It uses AI at its heart to hold that conversation. It can disambiguate if a user is maybe sometimes a little bit rumbling, sometimes thinking, not quite clear. You can ask easily follow-up questions to clarify the situation.
Got you.
And
I was going to say, Peter, I've had an experience using my dictation on my Mac. For example, if I'm dictating straight into Word document, into my email, it seems to take each word in isolation and does the best guess that it can. However, if I'm using ChatGPT and I dictate a question into ChatGPT, it listens during the period of dictation when I'm dictating the question in there. And then when I press go, it thinks for a while and it seems to figure out what my overall message must be. And then I think it probably corrects for where Word might mishear a word, and it ends up with a lot better result when I'm using the AI dictation on ChatGPT than the word for word, one word at a time dictation on my Word or email. Is that kind of what Sentai does?
Yeah, absolutely. And the situation is even the best speech to text service sometimes mishears something or people mumble a bit. And we have that intelligence at the heart that then can figure out or at least clarify with the user what was meant. So we mentioned the speaker, we mentioned that it's powered by AI. What does it do for the speaker? So it can help them manage their health and their lifestyle, for example, by reminding them of medications, appointments, any to-dos. It easily manages. It acts like a personal assistant in that sense. It keeps the user company with some happy banter if they wish to, right? You can have a long conversation about all sorts of things. Fun facts. You can let it tell you a story.
Does it play music, Peter? So if the person
it doesn't play music yet, no. No. The reason for that is that music obviously gets a little bit in the way of the core purpose of the product, which is the conversational interaction. It can check in from time to time on behalf of the circle of care. Again, this may be family, friends, professional carers, and ask how things are going. And it collects that information over time in a very unintrusive way and can highlight maybe if there is any problem. So you talked about the app. So there's an app, right? And the app is for family and carers and gives them timely insight what's been going on, AI-powered summaries, how the day in the life of the person who
Do
is
they get
has been
sent?
going.
Do they get sent to the family as in the form of an email or a WhatsApp message or a text, or how?
So in the form of any notifications if there is, for example, something worrisome going on. So there's a whole lot of things that you can enable Sentai to do. For example, if a user needs some shopping done and that is identified in the conversation, might happen, for example, that a user says, Sentai reminds the user to have a meal, and the user says, oh, I've run out of X, I've got nothing in the fridge, right? And we'll go identify that as a problem, knows that a family member or friend is assigned maybe to manage shopping for that user, will automatically create an item on the shopping list. And then send that specific family or friend a notification and says, Peter has run out of X, just to let you know, right?
Yep.
So the family and friend then can easily get in touch or just drop a quick message on the app as well, just like any sort of chat message like WhatsApp or something, and say, oh, I've just got a message that you run out of X. I'll bring you some this afternoon when I'm coming. Messaging is an important part of the product. So you can, for example, again, you can treat it like your assistant and say, oh, hi, Sentai, can you send a message to Luca that I need something, or ask him if he will come around sometime this week.
Yep.
And you can just reply to that through the app. And again, because it's totally natural language, you can figure this out.
Right? I was going to say, I'm interested in that one. Let's say if I was the person having support provided to me and my son, Petey, if I said to Sentai, please, could you ask Petey if he can come and see me on Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday, then Sentai will send my son a message saying, look, can you go and see Dad? And then will PT be given the opportunity to respond to that? And then that message goes back to the person.
Correct. And the next time the person walks past, the speaker will go, oh, hi, Luca, I've got a message for you.
Yep.
Peter said he'd like to come around Wednesday afternoon around 5. Is that okay? And you can go, yeah, tell him that's fine. Sentai is going to pick that up, turn it into a message, and then say,
amazing.
Look, said that's fine.
Any product like yours, the more users using it and giving feedback, and that whole cycle where things get better and better through feedback of clients and usage. Obviously, it's a product that is working really well now, but how many users do you have at the moment? And what's your method for constant improvement and listening to feedback from users?
Yeah, we've got quite a few devices in the field. I can't give you a number at the moment because we've got trials both with individuals and care providers going on.
Is it in the hundreds or?
No, it's not in the hundreds. It's probably around somewhere below 100 at the moment.
Yep, gotcha.
So we're still starting off. We also have some fantastic research partners, universities who also do research with this. And I think you know very well that care needs differ vastly, right?
Yep.
Every individual is totally different. So some people are going to get totally different value out of the product.
Yep.
For example, we know that one user loves the chat feature because it's a really easy way to just drop a message to her son in Canada without making a call. Yeah. Right? I can just talk to her, say, oh, can you send a message to my son? Tell him I'm okay today. Boom. Gets a notification on the phone. Mom says she's okay today. Yeah. So some other users like the medication reminders. Medication is a sort of perennial topic. I think the other day I read a statistic. About 60% of prescribed medication is taken the wrong way.
Yeah.
Just simply having somewhere that not only reminds you, but it has some knowledge about what you're taking is useful. So some other people just like the company, the voice in the house, love to just have someone talk with them when they get up in the morning and starting a little chat. As Sentai does, and you can have that little chat. So the two things we hear all the time from the field is what people love is peace of mind. that there is a presence, a 24-hour presence in the house, and my family can see whether I got up in the morning, whether we're chatting, I'm happy, or whether there is any problem. And the ability to easily alert the relevant person of your circle of care if there is a problem. That is this peace of mind aspect. We just hear a lot. And the other thing we hear from what users love is just the voice in the house. Many elderly people who live alone sometimes don't talk to anyone for a whole day. And Sentai just checks in from time to time and says, hey, how are you doing? Do you need anything?
Sure.
Are you okay today? And I think for the caregivers, for the families, it means they don't constantly have to call and just follow up on now. Do you have any pain?
Look,
Have you taken your pain?
Someone's active and moving around and doing stuff, and then that natural concern that they might have, or what's going on.
But at the same time, it invites that connection. So if to easily, for example, arrange a visit by just saying, "Shall I come over?" Yeah, can you come at 5? Great. So I think what it does, it discourages people having to call for constantly mundane things and getting on the nerves of their relatives by just saying, "Have you taken your painkillers this morning? Have you done this? Have you done that?" And while someone comes over, that may be a family member or a professional carer, they have information at hand that all these things have been taken care of, and they can focus on spending time on better things than asking 1,000 questions.
Yeah, absolutely. Many families must worry about technology being a bit too invasive.
Yeah.
Can you talk us through how Sentai's system monitors for well-being in a way that feels natural and non-intrusive for the person at home? And what kind of specific helpful information is shared with the family? And does the family have optional things that they can opt in and out of?
Yeah, so I think the thing that we hear from the field again and again, that people don't like to have the feeling they're being supervised or nannies or stigmatized with having to wear stuff like that. And people don't like this. So Sentai discreetly senses movement, presence. It analyzes conversations without anything private you say to it, just relevant to specific goals like that you have set up, like medication or meals and so on. And family and friends can configure Sentai to check in from time to time without hopefully doing that too much. Like if there's anything that needs reminding of, or just a quick well-being check. But for someone who has more severe care needs or professional care, you can build a whole digital visit, as we call it, where you ask multiple questions. And maybe then you work with a care recipient and say, every day between 11 and 12, the Sentai is going to ask you a few questions. So we know you're okay. Do you have any pain in your knee? Can you walk okay? Whatever these things are.
Sure.
Sentai then takes that and the AI summarizes that. And if there is anything worrying that needs attention, we'll notify the care.
It'll highlight that. Yeah. How does the sensor work? Is it an infrared sensor, or what's the
No, it's a radar sensor. So it's a radar sensor, which we use it primarily at the moment to sense presence, but we will offer multiple sensors for the home as well, like Bluetooth sensors, so you can deploy in sensing in various homes. That matters because, sometimes elderly people may be struggling with their sleep or get up multiple times at night, which often is a sort of precursor of maybe a urinary tract disease. Or all the way to people who have dementia can, get nocturnal. And I think that really helps to identify whether there was any problems with the quality of sleep together. Remember, the sensing is a sort of quantitative method to see whether someone got up in the morning, whether they got up at night, and so on. But it's the quality of the product is the conversation. So you can ask follow-up questions, say, how did you sleep tonight? And you can collect that qualitative information very easily as well. So you asked what is shared with the family, right?
Yep. Sorry.
You asked what is shared with the family. So typically the candidates are presence, activity status, is Nan okay? First, last activity. Did she get up in the morning? Did she go to bed? Is she active at night? Does she need any help? Are there any emerging issues?
Sure.
She always shares pain or run out of medication or needs help with something, whatever that is. And it needs like shopping, for example. Sentai will identify these things and then notify the relevant person. And you can set it up, for example, that someone might be the primary contact for help request, but someone else may help a little bit with shopping, a neighbor or so, and they get a request for something that is missing.
Yeah.
So you can sort of
be looking after different areas of the care, because we know that families might allocate different responsibilities between family members to support the person requiring care. And Sensei's clever enough to know who to tell information to. Yeah.
correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
No, that's very clever, very interesting. Just wanted to touch on living care specifically for families who have a living carer or are thinking about it. How does a product like Sentai fit in with that scenario where you have a carer in the house almost the whole time? Can it provide an extra layer of visibility or support for both the family and the caregiver themselves? And how might it differentiate between the movements and of the person needing support versus the carer?
Yeah, a really good question. So I still think there is a lot of value, probably where the movement sensing is probably a bit dependent where it's deployed, right? Where you have Sentai. So because the movement sensing mechanism per se cannot differentiate between people.
Yep.
But there is certainly a lot of value giving extra visibility to family. Certain things are still going to work. Like if you need something that maybe the family takes care of, you can still chat to your family, stay connected to your family. Every aspect of companionship that the device gives, the entertainment or creates, or maybe a bit of support with your crossword, all that is still valid. And remember, you said in the living carer might be almost always there, but almost certainly not always. So for the living carer, there's still a value that they can stay connected if they maybe have gone out for a while.
Yeah.
The primary contact for help if the living carer is not there is maybe a family member. And so Sentai is still there for the care recipient as a means to quickly ask for help and send an alert to a family member or the family, everyone in the family. Yeah.
That's interesting. You mentioned crosswords. If I was using Sentai myself and I said, I'm really struggling to find this word, it's 7 across, starts with an S, ends with a T, and it means helping someone. Is that SUPPORT? Yeah. 7 letters. If you say to Sentai, can you give me a clue? Give me one of the middle letters. Will it understand that? And
it's a good question. I haven't tried out this particular case.
I know ChatGPT would do that. If I said to it, I'm looking for a 7 word start with an S, ending in T, meaning help. Give me the third letter. It will give me P. So presume Sentai, because it's using a lot of the probably.
Well, they're using OpenAI as the backbone, and along with other services on Microsoft Azure. Yeah, so it should do that. I mean,
so you're telling me
case I haven't tried.
It's helping people to cheat, is what you're saying.
I know. I don't want help when I do a Wordle or something, but it's funny. You can do a quiz. You can great conversations about fun facts.
Yep.
You can just ask, give me a fun fact about nature, and the product grows with users over time.
Yeah.
So it starts remembering things you like, things you said, and the thing we're constantly sharpening that kind of
functionality,
companion character, right? Because a good companion knows things about you, knows your preferences, knows how you like to communicate, knows what you're interested in, and so on, and your daily routine.
Yes. Yeah. One of the big goals for families when they notice that a loved one is losing abilities and the ability to look after themselves is to see that they remain independent, safe, and content, and with dignity. How does Sentai strike the perfect balance on those things? And what would you say is the single biggest benefit for a family managing at home, managing the home care of a loved one right now? What's that single biggest thing that will help that family?
Wow, I think the single biggest thing really differs because different people have different needs.
Sure.
And they have different circumstances. Sometimes they're living close, sometimes someone lives far away, and they're going to configure Sentai in very different ways. I think the thing is we made Sentai different, and purposefully not as a variable. Also, it would be technically a little bit difficult to make a variable that is capable of what Sentai is capable of, but that might be a future step.
Yep.
But we know that often variables are rejected, or simply they just stay somewhere on the shelf and not put on in the morning.
Yep.
So that sort of stigma, oh, you have to wear this, or you have to wear that alarm button. Or
We're
that
talking about
watch,
the typical
pendants. And we don't fulfill that role. Right? The point of the pendant, alarm pendant, is that you always have it on you.
Yep.
Well, there's plenty of old people who don't put it on them. But so I think the whole idea of Sentai is that it's not as intrusive and working more on the user's terms and just provide some gentle assistance where and when needed. And I think that's the key thing. You talked about how we're sharpening the product and what we get back from the field is that the users really wanted to work on their terms.
Yeah.
They don't want to be nanny. They don't want to be constantly reminded of something they're already doing. They want to control the experience and say, that's fine, but you don't need to remind me of this all the time because I'm already doing this. Or I'm
Sure.
So give users more control, I think is the key word here, over their experience.
Yep.
And at the same time, empower them to reach out easily if they need something. So Sentai removes that barrier that you may have something to pick up the phone. Do I call my daughter now?
Yeah. I mean, to unlock code.
And old people often don't like to ask for help. They like to get on with it, but it removes a bit of barrier to provide a bit more visibility to your relatives.
Yep.
And peace of mind that they're watching over you without feeling like you're constantly being monitored and tagged and so on. And you can get it to work on your own terms. And if you really need something, Sentai can easily reach out and connect that or send an alert to the entire family if there is a problem, right? So I think that's really the important thing that as a personal companion, it's for me, it works on my terms, but it reaches out and asks for help when needed easily.
I gotcha. And just wrapping things up now, what does the future look like for Sentai? And are there any new features or big plans that you can share with us?
Yeah, absolutely. We're building a few nuts and bolts things at the moment. There is a clear expectation in the market that you can easily call through the device. We're just building that. That requires a bit more changes to the entire way we handle sound. But that will mean that we can easily route through a call if there is a serious problem. And a center will ask, do you want me to call Luca? And then, yeah, can you call Luca? And
then have a voice call with the person.
Yeah. Yep. And then you can have a voice call. I think the other important thing is, obviously, AI is a really fast-moving space. There's constant improvements to the experience, and we get more and more natural in the way we can interact with the user.
Yeah.
And this is the key thing we're working on, that the end user has more control of the experience. The experience is much more responsive to their style of communication. For example, if you don't have time and you just say things in a few words, you don't get a lengthy reply, you get a short reply.
Yep.
Right? Making everything constantly more responsive to the way the user chooses to communicate and arrange their day. That's the key objective. We're releasing every month. There's always a new release of the app. We're adding smaller features and we're listening a lot to what people tell us and making those changes.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I think, it's going to be very helpful for a lot of people.
Yeah, we hope so. So far, everything we hear in the market from all the tests and the people using it is very positive.
Brilliant. Well, thank you, Peter, for your time. And thank you to our listeners for listening and watching. If you found the video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more valuable tips and insights in and around the care world and your care journey. But thank you, Peter. Nice to see you, and I hope to see you again soon.
Thanks for having me.